Hello everyone, we have new updates for April 2024 here at Saturn's Ring in our multimedia course. Wanted to walk you through what is new. Let's get into it. All right, the first 5 modules are to walk you through Premiere Pro. So if you've never touched editing software, or if you're an intermediate editor, or even if you're an advanced editor, I know that you will learn something from these 5 modules, but they walk you through on how to make your first clip. And then after that, we have sound design and video production crash course. This is still a work in progress, but I did, however, get all of my kind of biases out there with my video production work, whether that's podcasting or video freelancing. I talk more about like the equipment that I use and that I prefer for certain situations. So if you have any more questions about production or what equipment to get, I like to collaborate with students inside of this module. The next module is business talk and getting clients. This is where we're trying to really create better creative professionals, because I try to give you the templates that I've used, whether it's an invoice, a quote, a proposal, to give you an idea of just a starting place and just make it your own. So we have those included with this module. And then I kind of talk through all of our packages, all of our strategies of what we do here at Saturn's Ring, aside from just posting tutorials online. This is what we do to earn a living. This is what we do to pay our bills. So I try to give you all that info. I try to operate as an open book. Whatever questions that you have, I'll try to provide it in just the experiences that I had, because I'm comfortable talking about what I've done good, what I've done bad, what I've done wrong, what I've done right. So I try to put that in context, and this of course is ever growing because I go through changes all the time with my business, especially in the past few years. And next is the Discord community request. This is a very special module because these are direct questions that I get in our paid community. So I try my best to not only make these timely, but if someone has a very intricate question or they just want it covered because maybe what I put out in the course didn't really hit home, this is where I try to answer directly to the students. This is great. This is part of our paid community, and I thought it'd be good to upload it to the course just so you kind of know what students are not only wanting to know, but also like what is trendy, what are their editing styles, what do they like in media, and it also is like kind of a challenge for me to try and figure it out and then put it out there for someone to learn from. So this is kind of my like direct to consumer, hey, I have this question, here's a tutorial. So this section I'm sure is going to be huge in the future. We have Discord office hours. I do them every single week, and if there's a really big segment, we'll record it and put it in the course. That's all that this is. There's really just bits and pieces that people will ask me questions. So a lot of office hours is just like, bring whatever you got. We can have a conversation. You can bring me something to look at. That's totally fine because I'm there for the community. And if we cover a big topic or there's a big question that is pretty long-winded, I'll put that in the course. And so far, we've had one of those back in February. Next, I think, is my favorite module, which is the After Effects Explained Fear Not. So I've avoided After Effects for years until it became apparent that I had to learn it to kind of keep up with what the market was bringing or what the market wanted. And that was very intricate edits, more advanced techniques, more advanced looks and aesthetics, and you really accomplish a lot of that inside of After Effects. So I thought the best way to tackle the software is to literally explain everything that is on screen. So that is what we do. I kind of try and piece together and bridge the gap. If you have always worked inside of Premiere Pro, I try and bridge that gap with easing you into how to think about both of them, Premiere Pro and After Effects, and then show you what you're probably familiar with, which is a lot of transform settings. So I try to bridge that gap here with the text layers and then also with shape layers. And then I just explain what you see on screen, the project panel, the tools, the composition panel, and the timeline. It's a lot of information, but once you go through this, I feel like you can do anything inside of After Effects. So that took a while to put together, but I'm glad I did, because our next one is the brand new module for this month, which is the Houston Cold 3D Style Personal Brand Walkthrough. So I've gotten questions for months to cover this 3D style, and I've kind of put it off because I knew how much work it was going to be, which was a minimum to 60 to 100 hours in, so I can actually understand what is happening. So I walk you through kind of the workflow. If you've already seen our video, I give like a very bird's eye view, macro perspective of like, this is what I do if I'm doing this style. Now, this module is explaining everything inside of that video on an intricate level. So I walk through all of it. The cutting and labeling section, the importing files, the importing captions, tracking the talent, rotoscoping, scaling sections, and this is a very important video. This 3D basics, there's 3 of them. There's actually three videos inside of this, and there's a bunch of videos inside of these too. But this 3D camera basics, if you're looking to purchase this course because the 3D style is being discussed, I would tell you, first of all, go through this module first. Go through it first so you actually know what's happening inside of After Effects. Because I believe after you go through this, you'll be so much more confident working within the program, I promise. And so when you go through that and you're looking, you're like, oh, I already know how to kind of do these things. Do not skip this. Do not skip this. The 3D basics, the practice walkthrough, I have kind of like a quick exercise to give you an idea of what you're going to be doing. Because once we get into these scenes, I'm kind of going at my own pace. And I'm just walking through how I'm interpreting, what I'm seeing, how we're going to copy it, what I did in the first draft, and what we're doing together in this workflow. So again, I would go through this first. If you're trying to get the hang of this style, you have to know the software. Like, there's no other way around it. You're going to be so confused and frustrated if you just try and run into this, because you're going to be like, none of this makes sense, because you have to know the fundamentals before you start getting in here. And then again, do not skip this section, the 3D basics practice, because this will give you so much more context of what is happening once we get into each of these scenes. So I provide practice footage, so you can copy off me, or I just screen grabbed what Houston did and you can copy off Houston. Whatever you would like, you have both of those options. And then I added a bunch of assets and a Photoshop file to where you have all of these scenes ready to go. You don't have to build them yourself, but you're welcome to. I just provide that for you inside of this section. And then I added some transitions and some cool stuff as well. So this was easily the biggest update so far. It's around 30 videos. So again, really proud of it. Go through it, take your time, and I know you'll be a lot confident coming out of these modules. Next is the tips and tricks library. This is just stuff that I think is helpful. Sometimes this actually started as questions, but I was like, well, let me make the direct questions an actual module itself. So this is just stuff that I come around in my workflow and that I think is helpful. So I just add it to the course of like, oh yeah, the students would probably benefit from something like this. So I just throw it in there. A lot of cool stuff in there. And next is Alex Hormozi's short form and long form techniques. This staircase technique, I guarantee no one has seen before. And then once you see it, you can't unsee it. You're like, dang, this is pretty creative. So this is something that I have done to accomplish the Hormozi style in about under 6 to 7 minutes. And this is without AI. This is just keystrokes and a little bit of creativity inside of Premiere Pro to do this specific method very, very fast. So I've had a lot of students comment about this of like, wow, I never thought of it that way. So I'm proud of that, just because you can do it fast and you can still customize whatever you want because we're inside of Premiere Pro. We're not using some AI tool. We're not using some other program. Like, we're using Premiere Pro, but we're using it in kind of a different way, kind of a different workflow. So I'm proud of that because I think it's one of the creative and nerdy things that I've done. And then we have the real-time workflow. So I'm walking through like exactly my process. So I walk you through it kind of step by step. It's a little bit tedious, but once you understand it, you can kind of go at my pace. And then I kind of commentate each of my moves as I'm doing them in real time. And next is the long form text animations. So this was kind of like an introduction into the range selector. And then that is kind of where we lead into the Ali Abdaal short form effects. Most of these are text animations because last year, a lot of people were hung up on the caption animations. So we were kind of forward of all of the AI tools, but this is kind of where this was centric. And if you haven't already seen it, we have a free masterclass that covers text animations. And I guarantee if you go through that, every piece of media that you've ever seen when it comes to text animations, you will be able to replicate or decipher if you go through that masterclass. So this is a lot of specific effects that I pulled from a lot of Ollie's reels, and I think it was just a helpful thing to add to the course because it's like, hey, if you wanted this effect that you saw on Ollie's reel, here's how you do it. So we have some options in there. Next is the short form creator library. We have Tom Nosk. I think he is the cleanest on Instagram as far as like aesthetics and kind of how he runs his page. So I tried to implement some of his text animations and kind of give you an idea and techniques that you could use to match something like his. And then we have Justin Espejo. I really liked in his old style, he did this glow text and wiggle. So I made that a preset and showed you how to use it. And then we have Creative Casper. I loved a few of these reels that went viral and we recreated them from scratch. So this will give you a lot of nice skills to kind of ease you into something like Dan Co. It's very shape layers based. But yeah, these are really cool. I would recommend going through these Creative Casper lessons as well. And then we have the long form creative library. This is from Good Mythical Morning, the anchor point and pin tool animation. So this was an animation that I was scratching my head for the longest time. And once I figured out what they were doing, you'll see it all the time on their show. They use this technique all the time. So I was happy that I kind of found a method and I thought I'd share it with the community. And next is the Copycat Walkthrough series, another kind of staple of our channel. We go in depth to break down the Pygmalion effect from Ali Abdaal. And this has been updated over and over again. And right now I think it's perfect. It kind of goes through all of the correct techniques, because when I first started, some of them just weren't that efficient. Now I feel like it's very efficient because we actually know that we're using the range selector inside of After Effects. So of course this is a helpful module that a lot of people have liked. And then we have I Edited for Ali Abdaal. Thank you again to Longwave Digital because they gave me the opportunity to do 2 clips from Ali's podcast, Deep Dive, and then I go through that. I am, however, not able to share the practice footage, but I've been thinking about making my own practice footage for the community. So I'll probably make that within the next month to have you something to play with rather than just showing you, hey, this is what I do and this is how I did it. You can actually practice on something like I did in the Houston Cold section. So again, I really appreciate the feedback because that was some of the feedback on this module that I'll be adding to. But still a lot of helpful stuff on how I interpret scenes, how to make certain decisions inside of a very creative clip workflow. So I know that this is very valuable still for a lot of people, but I am going to be adding some practice footage so you can actually do some of the things that I did when I edited for Ali Abdaal. But that is what is in the course. We started out with like 30 or 40 videos, and right now we're about at 150. Pretty cool. So again, thank you all for the support. We appreciate you guys. Let me know what you want to see next inside of the course, and we will be talking to you soon. Thanks again.